umanayim sheberachim gam lecha hine matov umanayim sheberachim gam lecha hine matov umanayim sheberachim gam lecha sheberachim gam yachad hine matov umanayim sheberachim gam yachad hine matov umanayim sheberachim gam yachad. The wonderful thing about being in Jerusalem is, you see, I find so many people that I know from different times in my life. I got to have coffee. I'll show you the coffee shop later on with my friend Rabbi Stuart Geller that I've known for almost 40 years. He was just a young whippersnapper, right? And he's 80 now, but retired to Israel about 20 years ago. And it's always a joy being with Stuart and with his family. And that spirit of connection, please just turn to somebody nearby and wish them Shabbat Shalom. At the bottom of page 21, we welcome the Sabbath bride. Boi Kala, won't you step inside? Boi Kala, l'chadoti likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, l'kavela, Boi Kala. Boi Kala, l'chadoti likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, l'kavela, Boi Kala. Oh, Sabbath bride, won't you come inside? We welcome you tonight, Boi Kala. Oh, Sabbath bride, won't you come inside? We welcome you tonight, Boi Kala. Join us, Boi Kala. Boi Kala, l'chadoti likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, l'kavela, Boi Kala. We continue on page 28 with the Baruch Hu. Please rise in body, posture, or spirit. La
Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Lai, 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 lai.
We read together on the bottom of page 31 the words of the Israeli poet and writer Emanu-El. I know that the tide is not an independent force, but merely the submission of the water to the movement of the moon in its orbit. And this orbit in its turn is subject to other orbits, which are mightier far than it. And so the whole universe is held fast in the clinging grip of strong hands, the forces of earth and sun, planets and comets and galaxies, blindly erupting forces ceaselessly stirring in ripples of silence to very depth of black space. We continue with the Shmas on page 34.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
Top of page 36, we join together for the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'elech asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech uv'shokbecha u'chumecha uv'shatam li'ot yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'tavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
Thinking of Israel at this moment with the crossing of the Sea of Milchamocha, this is a poem by Asaf Pri. It's translated by Gadi Ben Dov. The history teacher is really a Delta Force fighter. The kindergarten teacher is a military intelligence officer. None of us knew that the stuck-up neighbor is a company commander in the tank corps, and that the contractor with the funny hat working at the house next door is an F-16 pilot. That they always dress perfectly, female lawyer from upstairs is a combat officer that is working overtime at her post in the Army. The funny owner of the neighborhood food market is a trained sniper who is lying on a rooftop somewhere in Gaza right now. Some say that the angry, tough lady who is the bank branch manager is deputy regiment commander in the Home Front Command and is now working to organize all the housing by the Dead Sea hotels for evacuees from the villages near the border with Gaza. That the friendly, smiley bus driver that always takes the kids to school is a commander of a battery of 155mm artillery guns that is stationed in the north. And the fancy-looking interior designer next door is a paramedic who is now stationed in the West Bank. Legend has it that the geeky-looking physics students is really a Navy SEAL that performs some crazy operations in an undisclosed location right now. They look like normal, ordinary, everyday people, dressed like normal people with the ordinary jobs that's really just their cover story. Because suddenly, when they are needed, they open a hidden drawer or a closet in their apartment or pull out a trunk from under their bed and take out their superhero cape, their reserve duty IDF uniform, and go out to save the world and protect us. In Israel, we all look like ordinary people. Really, we do. But deep down inside, we're a country of superheroes.
Page 40, top of the page. Song of Freedom, Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha, Ba'elim Adonai. Micha Mocha, Nedar B'Kodesh. Norat Sikilo, Oseh Peleh, Oseh Peleh. Malchut Charahu, Banecha, Bokeh Hayam Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Zelianu ve'amiru, Adonai le'olam va'ed. Micha Mocha, Ba'elim Adonai. Micha Mocha, Nedar B'Kodesh. Norat Sikilo, Oseh Peleh, Oseh Peleh.
John, thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
So beautiful, and really have missed being together with
I
you.
miss being with you here. Thank you.
Tonight, you see, I'm abbreviating some parts of the service so we have more time to talk about Israel. We continue on page 46 with the tefillah. Please rise in body, posture, or spirit.
Adonai, Sifatai Tifta, Ufia, B'Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Top of page 48. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Lifnei V'Nechem, Leman Shemo V'Yava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Kol Ata, Rav Le'oshia. Mashit HaRuach, Umorid HaGashem, Mechalchel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofech Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayeh Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umidom Helach, Melech Memit Umachayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'remanata Lechayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Middle of page 52. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue with our own prayers, or the prayers of the Tefillah. And please be seated as you conclude. Mishaberach Imotenu Va'avotenu, our God and God of our mothers and fathers, God of Sarah and Abraham, Rebekah and Isaac, Leah, Rachel, and Jacob, as you've been with our ancestors, with all who are in need of healing. Send them refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, healing of body, mind, and spirit. May they feel the warmth of your love. May the embrace of your caring give them strength and renew their spirits. Care for all of their dear ones. Watch over them as they offer their prayers for their loved ones. And guide all who take care of them to have skilled hands and understanding hearts. We offer our prayers for Nadav Ephraim Kammer, Nadav Ephraim ben Shulamit Leah, Eileen Feldman, Pauline Spirito, Dennis Aikman, Wari Bacalar, Mike Walsh, Brianna Brothers, Yaakov Chaim ben Shalom Sviva Brina, Sandra Mosk, Jack Powell, Paul Polachek, Roger Landy, Gary Friedman, and Joan Kramer. Are there others who we include?
Shalom. Tova uvracha. Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha. Sim Shalom
And Besora Tovot, does anyone have any joys that you would like to share? I apologize that we don't have screens so everybody could stay in their usual seats. Yes. Oh my God. Oh, Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov. Anybody else? You know, for me it was just on the trip to Israel. You know, sometimes when you go with a group, it's like, well, I know anybody. I knew like 2/3 of the people, like my classmates from rabbinic school, you know, from 40 years ago, and you know, all kinds of folks. And Jacob was there. We had a wonderful dinner with everybody. Let me switch to this microphone. So, for the last 20 years, I go to Israel every year. And this trip was different. But to help set the stage, Israel is very much in my heart and soul. My earliest memory of Israel is with my grandparents, Grandma Molly and Grandpa Meyer. I always remember they had a small apartment in New Haven, going to visit, and Grandpa Meyer sat at the kitchen table. There was an old wooden radio. It was fun looking at old wooden radios today. He read the Yiddish newspaper, the Vorwärts, and there was the JNF blue box, and that was used to set aside tzedakah for Israel. They were emissaries that when people came to raise funds for Israel, they would stay with my grandparents. And I still cherish the coins with the palm trees on it. I can still remember that Grandma Molly brought back from her first trip to Israel. This was a dream which was theirs and which became mine. I'm always excited when I travel to Israel. I was more excited this time because I broke down and flew business class. If you ever fly business class, it's like going to airplane heaven. When the plane lands in Israel, though, it feels different than in any other country. So how was this trip different? At this point, 4 months after the horrendous attack on October 7th, Israel is very much a study in paradox. Arriving at the airport, driving to the hotel, there's almost no visible sign of the war. I felt as safe this year as I felt last year, as I felt every year for the last several years. But as you look at the picture, people are deplaning, they're walking to passport control. But on the right side is a sign that directs you to the shelter if there's a need. Here are some of the sights that you would just see, and daily life is very regular. You know, it's just like daily life being regular here in the States. You see people who are readers studying at the new National Library. It's an absolutely incredible facility. A man buying flowers for Shabbat. Machane Yehuda, the open-air market in Jerusalem, was full of people just as always. And people enjoying coffee and not always enjoying each other's company, but enjoying at least the internet. They're at my favorite coffee store. It's called Tachanata Coffee, the coffee stop, in the German colony in Jerusalem. But here are the differences. If you look at the pictures, these are not just ordinary people who are lounging in the hotel lobbies. These people are refugees. They have been evacuated from the south, near the border with Gaza, from the north, with the border of Lebanon. And the picture in the middle, you don't even need to see the child's face. When would you ever see a child in pajamas riding a scooter in the lobby of a fancy hotel? Nobody blinks twice. And the hotels have done a phenomenal job of hosting refugees. Each hotel we went, there was a different group of refugees. And they've been there for weeks. The first person that I saw when we got to the first hotel was a young woman in her pajamas carrying a laundry basket.
We've been here.
While we were there, the whole time we were there, we only heard the air raid siren once. We started in Tel Aviv, we went to Haifa, and then to Jerusalem. But the reality that something could happen was ever present. Like I say, daily life is the same when you look at it. But at any moment, people could be affected. I'm going to show you 2 video clips now about what it's like when the air raid siren sounds. On October 7th, 3,000 missiles were fired at Israel. Now there are very few, maybe only in the north or the south. But this will give you the visceral feeling of what could be at any moment in Israel.
We've been here before, haven't we, with ceasefires being on 1 minute and then off the next. And in the last few minutes, in fact, there's an air raid siren now. We're just going to take cover. Carry on talking to you. We'll just head inside. I think that is probably a response from Hamas to this announcement of a 4-hour humanitarian window. Everyone rushing for cover here. This is a daily occurrence in Ashkelon, in southern Israel. You can perhaps see people down there now running for the air raid shelter.
This is at Hostage Square. As I said, the whole time that I was there, over 7 days, there was only one air raid siren. But you see how pervasive it is and how people were so orderly. This was at Hostage Square, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. This is a map, and on October 7th, it shows you where throughout the country missiles were intercepted. Now it's, like I said, mainly the north or the south. But there's that ever-present potential for an attack. Everyone knows someone. Everyone knows someone. Question for you. Who has a grandchild or a child between the ages of 18 and 40? Anybody? In Israel, when you're 18, that if you are a Jewish Israeli, except for the ultra-Orthodox, that's another conversation. If you're Druze or you're a cessation citizen, you serve in the IDF, the Israel Defense Force. Basic enlistment is 32 months for men, 24 for women, and your service could be longer if you're in one of the specialized units or an officer. Military service, you're in the Miluim, the reserves, for until you're 40 or 45 if you're an officer. And this is such a part of the country. When you graduate basic training, there is a ceremony. In Hebrew, the word is a teches. And I've attended that ceremony several times when my friends' children have completed their basic training. They march in by platoons. I've gone to the Western Wall. There may be 300 soldiers. They're given a Bible, a Tanakh, and a rifle. And then by unit, by platoon, they say, after the oath is read, Nishbati, Nishbati, Nishbati. I swear, I swear, I swear. In Israel, it's literally 1 degree of separation. And again, while things are generally normal in the country, people worry about a child, a grandchild, or a friend. The hostages. Tel Aviv Museum, there's a large square outside the museum, and that is now known as Hostage Square. The fate of the hostages is on the mind of every Israeli. Everyone knows someone. Think of the recent Taylor Swift concerts. Do you know someone or know someone who knows someone who went to the Taylor Swift concert? In Israel, that's the way it is. You know someone or you know someone who knows someone who's either in the IDF or someone who was taken hostage. The central point here is the Tel Aviv Museum. It's where the family gathers, and it's where there are mass demonstrations. You see this giant clock that has the hours, minutes, seconds, days of captivity. There is a giant Shabbat table. There are over 200 empty chairs, 1 chair for each hostage. Originally, it was all white tablecloths and white chairs. And now the white chairs are there for those who have been freed. And those who are still held captive, it's brown cloths, bottles with sand, and stools with pictures. This shows the size of the rallies that are held at the square. The sukkah with hearts for the captives, and other signs that you see in the square. And this video clip will give you an idea of the realities there.
A near constant vigil next to pictures of the killed or kidnapped, as this has become a gathering place. This is the plaza in front of the Tel Aviv Art Museum, but people here now call this place Hostage Square. At the center, an empty Shabbat table. Nearby, a menorah for Hanukkah, a holiday celebrating a miracle with so many hoping for one soon.
I feel like they're my family.
Like Yarden Gonen, showing us to a dark tent filled with pictures of people who've been at the Nova Music Festival on October 7th.
You can see also my sunshine here. This is Romy, my beautiful sister, one of them.
Romy is believed to be held captive in Gaza, along with dozens of others, including multiple Americans, some of their families, meeting with President Biden at the White House today. If you could be there to speak on behalf of your sister, what would you tell him?
First of all, that she is my loved sister. This is what's important right now, to fight for their life, for the living. And I believe in him. I believe in his power. And we all know that he got the leverage on Qatar, on Egypt, on Israel, to change the way things are right now. And I'm seeking for his help. And I know we all are, especially the families that they have citizenship in the United States, but also us.
Gonen says other now freed hostages told them her sister's alive, but hurt after being shot in the hand. The push to get her home, so urgent. It's now Gonen's full-time job.
I'm very afraid that the ones that are holding her are a group of terrorists that want to use her and another women and men that over there as a war weapon. And I can only hope that she's okay mentally. And I feel her here. Yeah. I want to feel her here. Please.
One of the things about that place that we just showed you, Hostage Square, on Saturday nights, there is a bigger vigil, and there are so many people. There are hundreds of people. There's video screens, and the last couple of Saturdays, in fact, since those hostages that Gonen just referenced have been released, we've actually heard some video testimonials from them, and these people who had been in captivity now speaking about that experience, and perhaps most importantly, as they emphasize, delivering the message, please get the others out. That is such a focus for these folks, Tom.
Final touching vision is Alon's piano. Alon is 22. He's an accomplished pianist. He was taken at the Nova concert. His family lives in Lavon. It's a community in Galilee. And they brought a yellow piano to Hostage Plaza in Tel Aviv. It represents the hope that he'll return. His brother Ronan is also a musician and reached out to the jazz musician Avishai Cohen and asked him to record the song Shuvei Elai, Return to Me. The Cohen came to the family home and recorded the song with Oho's family and friends. Similar pianos have been placed in Washington Square Park in New York, in Japan, and visitors are invited to play and send their love and their strength. Two other insights. Our group had the opportunity to meet with Yaron Shavit, the deputy chair of the executive committee for the Jewish Agency for Israel, and Rabbi Gilad Kariv, a member of the Knesset, Reform rabbi. The Jewish Agency has been supporting immigration to Israel since before its founding. Since October 7th, the Fund for Terror Victims has provided immediate financial support for the victims who were murdered or wounded, their families, supported families who were evacuated, and begun to plan to rehabilitate communities devastated by the war. And these are painful words to share, but it was a sentiment throughout the visit that in many ways the government had failed the people during this crisis, both with defense and with reaching out. The Jewish Agency was there to provide immediate support, within 24 to 48 hours to provide financial support. And it's important to talk about the incredible way that the entire country mobilized to support victims and their families. There's the women's group, Banot Alternativa, a group that was formed during the democracy protest. They tapped 80 national affiliates, more than 150 members, to create pop-up supply networks to gather donations of food, clothes, and medical equipment. An emergency meeting of the 4 main donors groups. They all agreed on a division of labor. On the WhatsApp channel, they formed a single forum. Within 24 hours, they had a list of more than 10,000 households willing to host displaced persons. Psychologists fanned out across the country to help victims. And cyber experts gelled into a collective to search for the 200 who were taken hostage. This video tells the story.
So right behind me was what I thought was just a simple donation center, and as soon as I walked in, I found that it was a completely different operation.
This is a civil society crisis center, and we have 20 different departments operating here in the building.
Far bigger, far more complex, multiple story operation.
It's like a government by the people, for the people, but really.
They have an entire place they call their store, built out with clothing, things for children, and books. And
they're bringing nice stuff with clothes tags still on it, brand new things. It's all being organized by volunteers who are coming and just want to help.
There was a food pantry built out and a pharmacy built out.
14,000 different packages were sent from these stores. We have here everything, from diapers to power banks. All the time we get equipment for soldiers. It's not a hardcore military equipment. We don't have M60 rifles in here. We send it from here, from Jerusalem, with lab to the front.
The top floor of the operation is their command center. These are multiple little units, all responsible for different ends of their operation.
The department in charge of hosting this amazing team has managed to place thousands of people in hospitality solutions. And this is the department for emotional support and educational support. There are clinical social workers, psychologists, and education people.
This is an entirely volunteer-driven operation that is just immense in scale. They're offering translation services.
It's English, Russian, Amharic, French, and Spanish.
We have a department for transportation.
We have drivers volunteering all across the country.
4 hours after the initial Hamas attack, this whole complex was already in operation. Now they're running a fully operational center with, they think they said somewhere between 300 and 500 volunteers on a rotating basis at all times.
I've never seen anything like this in my life. The amount of people just want to keep doing and doing and doing and doing.
It's heartwarming.
I know that my brothers and sisters down south would have been there for me if Jerusalem had a major event, and now it's our turn to be there for them. We are one country, we are strong, we are together, and we will win.
Rabbi Kareev spoke about the big picture. This evening I don't have time to talk about that or about the suffering of the innocent in Gaza. As I draw to a close, I want to remember the soldiers. So far, over 500 have lost their lives. One of our final stops the last Friday was at the Reform community in Yotzma. Rabbi David Azulai, a Reform rabbi, told us about officiating at 3 military funerals, about how the community came together, and again, in just a few moments, I can't even begin to tell his story. It's too full of discussion. This is a picture, and you can see Rabbi Azulai in the far corner. And I want to take a moment to show you the graves of 3 fallen soldiers, how different it is than the military cemeteries in the United States. This is Yam Galas, a young woman who Rabbi Azulai officiated at her funeral. You see all the ornaments telling the story of her life. Shlomo Gortavnik, and all, again, the memorials that his family left. And Noor Matasanu. This is the cemetery, and they've added another section. And the memorials speak to Israeli society. And finally, I want to remember Yanai Kaminka. He was a second lieutenant with a search and rescue training unit. He was at the border on October 7th, Gaza, right next to the ocean. Last Friday night, we met his parents, Alana and Ayal. They've been interviewed on CNN. Yanai's story was in Time magazine. His parents told of his love and care for every soldier under his command. He'd stay up through the night to talk to them for an hour at a time to get to know them. He'd visit their homes. The base had 90 recruits when the attack started. They had only been in the IDF since August. There were 20 to 30 people at the beach nearby. They had had a party. When the attack started, Yanai and the other officers and sergeants realized that the 90 new recruits didn't have the wherewithal to defend themselves. They put them in the shelters, and they went to the outposts. Yanai then realized that there were people on the beach that needed help, and he went and provided cover for them. Yanai, with 5 other officers and sergeants, lost their lives. Their actions saved the 90 recruits, saved the civilians, and provided time for the nearby kibbutz to prepare its defense. Yanai's mother is a peace activist, and they live in Sur Hadassah, and it's right next to 3 Palestinian communities. And these were her words, a letter to a Palestinian neighbor during the Shiva. To my dear friends and neighbors from Wadi Fukin, Husan, and Batar, these are terrible days for us all. I'm sitting Shiva mourning for my beloved eldest son, 20-year-old Yanai, a boy with kind eyes that saw every human being, and my heart is shattered into pieces. Within this terrible grief and bereavement, I want to say to you, I see you. I know these are terrible days for you too, days of fear and dread. I'm writing to tell you that I want only good for you, and that I'm worried about you like I'm worried for all of us. I wish you could be here with me during the morning wake, to cry with me for Yanai, just as I want to come and cry with the Mansara family when Ahmed was killed. Ahmed, like my son Yadai, was young and beautiful, with kind eyes. I felt the pain of his parents and an entire village. Yanai was a soldier. I know that's hard for many of you. I understand the difficulty. Yanai chose to serve in the Search and Rescue Unit, a unit whose purpose is to help civilians to rescue them from earthquakes and other such disasters. Yanai was happiest when he was helping people. He graduated from high school and volunteered for a year of service working with children at risk. With his soldiers, he checked if they needed anything at home, food or clothes, or if they were sad or in pain. He saw you are neighbors, and once invited a Palestinian to come talk to his friends so they could better understand the difficult life circumstances you live in. Dear neighbors, I'm in pain now, deep pain, but I want you to know that within my heart is open to you. I don't blame you for the deeds of the Hamas, and I hope this cursed situation will somehow bring our 2 nations to at least learn to live together with mutual respect, so there may be no more parents, Israeli or Palestinian, that must grieve for their sons and daughters. There's no other way. In this time together, I've tried to take you to the inside, things that we don't see from the newspapers, and just, again, the paradox. Life is normal, but it's not normal. And we all offer our prayers for the people of Israel, for the innocents in Israel and in Gaza. If your friends tell you they saw this slideshow at another synagogue, it's because I sent it to their rabbis. We continue with the Elena on page 282. Please rise in body, posture, or spirit. We continue with the Kaddish, page 294. On this Sabbath, remember the recent passing in the last 30 days of Marilyn Sokolow. We mark the yard sites of Charlotte E. Ansel, Judith Dubinsky-Bloom, Albert Burke, Burton Cohen, Marilyn Faulkner, Samuel M. Fisher, Saul Friedman, Solomon Mordecai Geist, Blanche Genzel, Jack A. Goodman, Francis Gordon, Anna Heffron, Kenneth Lissack, Edward Martin, Judith Ogan, David Perlman, Anna M. Paskanzer, Burton Price, Sidney Richmond, Sadie Schroeter, Eunice Seach, Hester Shapiro, Harry Malin Siegel, H. Ross Schlesinger, Albert Sokolik, Harry Saltz, James Stein, Philip Strasnick, Lorraine Cummings Tollison, Albert Traeger, Rutger Ullman, Moses Whitman. We remember Sarah Albert, Max Berger, Jenny Gill, Michael Goshko, Rebecca Kane, Jonathan Ogan, Elizabeth R. Rosenthal, Gregory Mosmanovich, Bella Smoller, Fanny Steinberg, Kenneth Zaks. Are there others who recall in Yardside? Thank you. Or mispronunciations to correct. Remember all of the innocent who have lost their lives in Israel and in Gaza. Those who have lost their lives because of violence in the world, due to COVID-19, because of natural disaster, in the defense of freedom, and those with no one to remember them. We say together, Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divara chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'yamru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yithaleh v'yitalal shmei kedusha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiram be'ama v'yamru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu yal kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu yal kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to the bereaved.
And we'll conclude with the last three lines of the Kaddish, Song of Peace, Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Thank you, Rabbi. That was beautiful. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. How's everything?